Hi, welcome to this presentation about the Master ICT in Business and the Public Sector. My name is Joost Visser. Um, Today I will walk you through the Master program, and I'll do that by first giving a bit of a more general statements about the reason that this Master exists, what the topics are and the main questions, and of course then we go into more detail of the content of the Master, talking a little bit about what courses and things like that. Then I will talk to you about the employment perspectives that this master offers to the students that graduate, and I'll finally summarize. So I am the program manager of this ICT in Business and the Public Sector Master. And you see my email address there in case you would like me to ask me questions at a later stage. Let me start by the following quote from Mark Andreessen. Was once written in the Wall Street Journal in an article in 2011, long ago. And he said, software is eating the world. And this phrase has gotten wings nowadays, and everybody's talking about that. And it basically means that he, as a venture capitalist, was seeing the economy changing from a traditional economy to a digital economy, where basically all major businesses and industries are being run on software and delivered as online services. And yes, this was already quite some years ago, but basically this has come to pass. Software has eaten the world. And this is also a reason why this master exists. It's easy to conclude, to see that our society nowadays is an information society. It runs on information and communication technology, ICT. And all economic and social activity that is going on around the world, around you, is heavily dependent on IT. You don't always see it. In fact, when it breaks is when you notice it, typically. But it's there and it does a lot of things. And it's in all sectors of the economy and of society. It is in retail, in manufacturing, healthcare, trade, banking, entertainment, travel, education, and of course government. It's everywhere. Businesses and governments alike run on IT. So this means that there's a huge need in all kinds of organizations for young professionals that understand on the one hand ICT and also how to apply it, know how to see IT in its application context in organizations. They need people to help create and realize the opportunities that IT offers, but also on the, let's say, negative side, to help control the risks that this new power of information technology has brought us all. Which means, by and by, that they need good professional people to help them master the responsible use of IT in all kinds of areas. And in the master, this means that there's all kinds of aspects involved, like entrepreneurship, cybersecurity, innovation, privacy, data-driven policy making, and explainable AI. And I will come back to a couple of these topics later. So just to reflect a little bit on what this master is about, in essence, here's a couple of central questions and topics that you will be asking yourself and learning how to give an answer to these. So the top question here is, what value does a given software system have for a given organization? And when you start investigating a question like that, there's a lot of aspects to take into account. So, for instance, the functionality of the system. What does it do? What services that the company organization offers to its users or to citizens? What services or business processes are actually supported and how by these software systems? Well, functionality is, of course, visible and observable by all and very important, but there's also some things that are a little bit less obvious, like the usability. The functionality should be usable with ease. It should be easy to access without too much effort, without a lot of training. So that's also a question you have to ask about software systems in organizations, whether in the context where they are used, they're actually usable. Then there's the operational aspect. How much does it cost to deploy the system on my own hardware or on the cloud? Can it run there without incidents? And if there's incidents, how much does that cost me? So there's business aspects to operation of IT systems as well. Another dimension is evolution. A system that is working now and is maybe very satisfactory to the business, to its clients, and works as a dream, might not be suitable for what you want to do tomorrow. Businesses change, the market change, people change, they have new needs, also the technology landscape changes. So systems need to be able to evolve. And are systems actually adaptable to new circumstances and able to scale when the business grows, for instance? Important questions about IT systems in organizations. Finally, listed here, responsibility is, and especially in the public sector, but also in businesses increasingly, this is an important aspect. Are systems actually accessible for all users, which in many cases are citizens? Or will it, in some certain circumstances, harm certain people because of the way it's built, the data it uses, or things like that? So these are central questions to the master program, and you will learn lots of aspects, not only for an understanding and being able to reason about these type of properties of software systems and their application in business, but also you will be learning how these systems can be designed, built, operated, and managed to always optimize them for organizational value. So what this means for the master is that the type of education you get there is, on the one hand, business related, management related, organizational, but also computer science education. So it's a blend of these topics. And we believe strongly that these things belong together because businesses nowadays run on software and run on IT. And this education is offered for people that want to be future IT leaders, consultants, managers, but all kinds of related roles in organizations dealing with IT. The focus areas that we have in the master are management and application of IT in the organizational context, as I've explained already, and also how IT can enable innovations. Innovations in all kinds of business functions, like in the marketing function or in the operations of a company, in the finance of a company, in how it strategizes and conquers the markets, and of course, how IT can again be used to improve IT itself. There's two, let's say, main specializations in our course that cater to two different types of contexts. One is private organizations, so any type of business, small, large, multinational, local, and on the other hand, the public sector, where there is, of course, the public administration, governments, government agencies, but also the non-governmental organizations. And as I will mention later, the public sector is actually a large part of our society, so not something to be ignored, and a lot of important IT developments to be followed, tracked, and managed in that sector as well. So what do you get when you come to this program? So on the one hand, you will expand your knowledge of IT. So you probably have some background, interesting affinity already with software, with information technology, and you will be learning new things, advanced knowledge about, for instance, software architecture and evolution, about cybersecurity and privacy, about how to model systems, how to develop systems, but also how to do data mining and data analysis and do data-driven decision-making, for instance. On the other hand, you will be looking at all kinds of organizational and business skills. You will be learning about strategy, marketing, accounting, policy and decision-making in the public sector, but also technology and operations management and consulting and entrepreneurship, so that you will be prepared to operate both in entrepreneurial context, for instance, in a startup, but also in, for instance, advisory firms in consulting. And by blending these two things, you will become as I call it, a versatile IT professional who understands how IT and business are intertwined, strong understanding that, understands and knows how to use professional language in an organizational context, understands how organizations are structured and can operate there very well, and learns how to manage IT at a project level, or maybe very much more large scale at the corporate level. And doing all that in an evidence-based and data-driven way, basically, in other words, with a scientific basis. A little bit of a deep dive into the curriculum, just a little bit. The details are, of course, available online extensively, but here just to show you a little bit how flexible our program is. So in the top middle, you see the common courses. The core part of the curriculum is a set of courses that everybody takes that follows the program. But then at the top left side, there are a number of foundational modules. So depending on your background, if you have a very strong IT background already, you will take the foundation business module. If you have a very strong business background, you will maybe level up by doing the foundation ICT. So this ensures that everybody enters into the common courses basically on the same level. And there's also the possibility of skipping foundation courses altogether if you already have a strong mixed background, which is, for instance, the case for our bachelors of informatics and economics here in Leiden. Then there's, of course, elective courses where you can follow your own interests and build your own curriculum from the courses that we offer. And then there's two specializations. One, the ICT in business, where you will be focusing on, let's say, the for-profit side of things. On the other hand, the ICT in the public sector, where you will be focusing on the not-for-profit sector, including all kinds of organizations that operate in the public sector. Finally, there's the research project, so you end your program by doing your own research project, ending in a thesis and a defense, where you conduct your own research on this interface between IT and business. Typically, these projects are done within industry, hosted by a company, doing company visits, or actually being employed there as an intern or something like that, and picking up, on the one hand, a challenge that this organization brings up and wants to have solved, and looks to you as a almost graduated master in ICT and business in the public sector to help them solve that. On the other hand, you will do a scientific project there. You will apply scientific methods to solve that problem, and you will advance science with what you do in that project. And yeah, these projects, of course, are a lot of fun to do. For details, there's a URL right there, but you're surely able to find these things. A word on how to choose your specialization. ICT in business, ICT in the public sector. So these things sound very differently, but they are actually not. So in the public sector, there's also something called business. It's not business in the sense of commercial business, but there's the things the organization does for its customers or for its users or for its citizens. So there's a lot the same. That's why also it is one program with two specializations. Well, as I said already before, all businesses run on IT, but about 25% of the economy you have to take into account are organizations that are not businesses in that sense, are not commercial. So there's a large part of the economy where you can actually work on the interface between IT and business of organizations. I list here a couple of places where, for instance, our alumni have gone in different areas. So the specialization in ICT in business will line you up very well for all kinds of technology firms, startups, but also companies in manufacturing, in the financial services, think about banks, insurance, etc. On the other side, in ICT in the public sector, there's, of course, particular courses you get that prepare you well for operating in the public sector, meaning that you learn something about policy making, about how to conduct yourself in a governmental environment as an IT professional, etc. And there's very relevant and large companies, also advisory firms, European agencies, etc., where our alumni have gone. A little bit about the education experience. So, yeah, what will you experience if you come to us to do the master? So, something you need to know, this is a fairly small master program and very interactive. So we have a group of about 40 students that come in each year, and the lectures we do for the students are very interactive. There's a lot of discussion, there's a lot of back and forth between the lecturer and the students and among the students. So there's actually a lot of teamwork integrated into the courses, multidisciplinary teamwork. You are looking at different aspects that you have to combine. And you get a lot of theory, of course, in the lectures, where you build up your scientific knowledge, but you also apply them in so-called experiential projects where you use this knowledge. And yeah, we're able to offer this because we have very strong ties to practice, to industry. Many of our lecturers are, on the one hand, lecturer in the university, but also are employed out there in industry, in government, in companies, and they like to lecture for for the students of our program, because they can share their experience, work with smart people, get newly inspired about all kinds of topics, and share their experience of how things work in the real world, so to speak. This also allows us to organize a lot of company visits, to do a lot of in-company research thesis projects, as I mentioned earlier, and arrange those for our students or with our students, and do something we call capstone cases, where you, in a team of students, will be solving the problem of a particular organization. It will allow you to present your work to them. It also provides very good relationship building opportunities where you can network a little bit and get a taste already for what it is to be active in an organization like that. On the other side, very strong ties to research. We are embedded in the Leiden Institute of Advanced Computer Science and in the Faculty of Governance and Global Affairs. And we draw from those two institutes a lot of knowledge that we put into our curriculum. The student profile. So, the other people you will meet typically in this program are people that have often, to some degree, a technical background. They may have done a Bachelor Computer Science or something similar to that, sometimes a mixed degree, Computer Science and something else. Also people from Applied Sciences come to our program. And they have, to some level, this technical interest, but also they have an ambition to broaden their horizons. They want to not just work with the technology, they want to actually see how it lands, how it works, what it means to people and organizations. And they're interested in acquiring managerial skills, organizational skills, to learn about strategy and communication and widen their horizons in this way. So, people that come to us are looking for considerable depth and scientific foundation, but also you will get a nice international orientation. Quite some students that join us come from abroad and bring in that international experience as well. It's also possible, for instance, to do your internship in a company, not in the Netherlands, but abroad in other countries. The employment perspectives for our students are truly excellent. Many students find a job already while they are still finishing their studies, but definitely all of them have jobs waiting for them when they finish. We are keeping track of that a little bit, what happens to our alumni. Here you see a list of the roles that some of our former students have taken up directly after finishing their graduation. And you see that it's very varied in lots of different organizations. And employment after this master is really something that is very smooth and direct. Finally, to wrap up, we offer a fairly unique program where you have a mixture of management, organizational, and IT courses. You will be joining an international group of students doing all kinds of small, interactive and experiential courses and coursework and projects together, working on these interesting topics that I mentioned in the beginning, always on the interface between business and IT, sometimes a little bit more towards business, sometimes a little bit more towards the technology. It's a 2-year program in English. It offers considerable depth through our scientific foundations, so you will get a lot of theory as well, but we will never lose track of the practical relevance and make sure that you learn not just the scientific foundations, but also how they are relevant and usable in practice. We can do that because of our lecturers that speak from experience, that are in industry at the same time as they are with us, which make sure that all these things blend together very well. And as I said in the slide before, excellent employment perspectives. So I hope you will be joining us soon in this program, and we can welcome you in this very interesting program. And if you have any questions, we are of course prepared to answer those. We also like to speak to prospective students that may have some doubts about whether this is really the project, the program for them. We can talk you through it, answer questions, and also help you, for instance, choose or decide what specialization you would like to go into, what kind of curriculum, what kind of foundation module is appropriate for you. So we do this type of interaction already before you join us. And here are 2 email addresses that you may use to contact us and discuss these things. Again, thank you very much, and I hope you will be joining us in the program ICT in Business and the Public Sector soon.